Hi, and welcome to Our Ludicrous Future. This is the podcast where we talk about all the cool future stuff that's going to make tomorrow totally ludicrous.
What is happening?
They told me I needed to get the energy up, so there you go. I'm Joe Scott with the Answers with Joe YouTube channel. With me is Tim Dodd.
Well, you were like falling asleep by the end of your intro, like, let's get ludicrous. Oh yeah, hey, I'm Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. I am ready for a nap, but maybe Joe is too. And with us is Ben Solons.
What's up, guys? Tim, you have no excuse to be ready for a nap. I'm sorry, you just can't do it. It's not allowed. You need to keep that energy going up into the stratosphere.
You know what? I'm a power napper. Almost every day, I'll take about a 20 to 30 minute nap.
Yeah, okay. Have you read Daniel Pink's book called When about this whole thing?
Mm-mm.
It's, okay, so Daniel Pink, great author, business author, whatever. There's a whole section of, science called chronobiology, where they're studying what time, like morning person versus night person, that kind of a thing, and sleep does to your performance. And it's fascinating, but the power nap is totally legit. And the thing he does, which I don't know if you've tried it, is called the coffee nap, where you take like an espresso or like a very strong small bit of coffee, you pound that, and then you go to sleep, because it takes about 20 minutes for it to kick in, and then when you wake up, you're like you're on even more fire than if you just had the power nap.
Everyone makes fun of me because literally I don't know if it's when I drink a cappuccino I just fall asleep like instantly. Yeah. I don't know if it's like the warm milk or something. I'll nap. I always take like a cap nap, I call them. And then, then I like wake up, and that's just...
Dude, 100% legit.
Weird.
The one thing that he said that was interesting, he said, don't go beyond, don't go beyond 20 minutes, because he said it's like 7 minutes on average for people to fall asleep. So set your timer for 27 minutes, because beyond 20 minutes... You get into what he called like sleep inertia, cycles, where your body feels like it's going to sleep for a long period of time. So instead of waking up refreshed, you wake up groggy. So
yeah. Now there is something I read about that coffee and sleep both do something. I'm not getting this right, but there's like some proteins that sort of accumulate in your nerves and your brain that both sleep and coffee kind of clear out. So. Combining them does give you like double the effect kind of thing, and makes you feel more awake.
Yeah, so definitely a good book. I've only listened to his interviews, 10 times where he talked about it. So, but it's on my list to read because that guy is a genius.
Mm-hmm. Sweet, noted.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Noted.
So I want to hear about the workout with the retirees that you're doing.
Well, I decided I've just been porking it too much lately. It's just time to try to become Ben Sullen swole. I think we can all aspire to be that.
Many will try, few will succeed.
No, my brother-in-law owns and Jacob Pauli, who used to do the some stuff with, we'd call him Uncle Dad on the show. He used to like play Kerbal with me on the show. They both own a ninja gym together. And because my brother-in-law is a
ninja?
Semi-professional, professional ninja athlete. I don't know what you call it these days, but he's been on American Ninja Warrior, as we've talked about on the show. And so he has this awesome gym, and I like never go and work out there, even though it's really close to me. But they have this because they have classes, and I don't want to just like show up and like hang on like 2 rings and then fall off and be like, okay, I'm done. So they do have like classes where you just get like a regular good old workout in, and it's normally at like 5 a.m. And I'm like, so they have one that's 10 a.m., but that's for 55 plus. But I snuck myself into that one. So I just bring my AARP card and I'm ready to go.
It's good to feel good about yourself, right? So to put yourself, I hope, although I know some 50 plus year olds that are pretty... that are still.
Let me tell you this: my mom is one of those people, and she kicks my butt.
Yeah.
Dead serious, like 100%. She is way more in shape and athletic than I am. And my dad, he's still recovering, from his heart surgery, so he's not out there shredding right now. But normally, he's the same way.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. I'm the lazy one in the Dodd family.
So, do y'all know who Kumail Nanjiani is? The guy from Silicon Valley.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Did you see his transformation?
Was that real?
It's real.
I saw his Pornhub thing that they tweeted. Did you see that?
No.
It was hilarious. I just saw his tweet, his response to them. They were like, "We changed our thumbnail for the muscular men category," and it was a photo of him.
Oh, funny.
That's funny.
So good.
No, he's in some Marvel movie, so they had to get him all buffed out. And here, I'll share the screen real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's a real picture. I mean, it looked Photoshop when I first saw it.
I thought it was
looked like something that he would have just done and put up there. But
no way.
Yeah,
what I really like, though, I just have to shout him out real quick. On his Instagram post where he shared that, he made this big point of calling out that, like, he's 41 years old, and he said, "I've never looked like this before, and now that I look like this, I know why I never looked like this before, because he has a whole team of trainers and nutritionists and dietitians and a whole studio with billions of dollars paying for it, and he did this for a year to get to where he is right now."
Wow.
And I thought that was really cool, because a lot of people, when they transform themselves, they're like, "Oh, look how awesome I am." And he was like, no.
Right.
This was a lot of work by a lot of people, and it wasn't just me, and it took a lot of money, and most people can't do this, which I thought was refreshing.
Yeah, that is refreshing, because that's the whole thing. We're so... Yeah. Anyway, should we probably get on to some space news? Because there was a lot of it since I've been gone. Since last week, you only got a Why Don't They Just With Me from...
Speaking of getting jacked, let's talk about...
Peter Beck of Rocket Lab. So as you guys remember, last week I was gone because I was sitting... Literally, while you guys were recording, I was sitting on a new launch pad with the CEO of Peter Beck, CEO of Rocket Lab, and his name is Peter Beck. Who is, I have to say on the record, genuinely, I think he's one of my absolute favorite people in the space industry. He's just like the most chill guy. You've talked to him, Joe.
You know what's funny is like, I was watching your interview with him, and I was like, oh man, he got to interview Peter Beck. And I was like, wait, so did I.
Wait,
a long time ago. And then I was like, Peter Beck's an awesome guy. Like, I'm nobody. Why was he talking to me?
No, you're not a nobody, but I
was
love
definitely
that
nobody
Peter...
back then.
Well, look at you now. We have a lot to share, even just with Rocket Lab. So they opened up this brand new launch site. Sorry, I'm just like scrolling through their Twitter feed. Here it is. Brand new launch site. This is out at Wallops, and Wallops is, it's in Virginia. It's just about, it's about a 3 or 4 hour drive, 3.5 hour drive from DC. You kind of have to go around. But there's only really 2 other launch pads out there that are at all active. The one's pretty active, and that's the Antares launch pad is there, and that's one of the rockets that supplies the International Space Station with cargo for the Northrop Grumman and their Cygnus capsule. Launches literally right next door to this. Like you can't miss it. The 2 pads are like literally not even 100 meters apart. I think they're super, super close. But
safe.
Of course, what was that?
Sounds safe.
Well, unfortunately, I don't know if you remember, the Antares did have a full-blown boom like 3 or 4 years ago, and it did level that pad. But yeah, I mean, launch pads. Who needs them? Just stick the rocket on the ground and hit go. But so this is really exciting, because this will allow them to have this is their second launch pad, and although it only services about the same amount, and actually maybe less than their original pad in New Zealand, because the way orbital mechanics work, you can only go like anywhere around the world. You can go up to 90 degrees. You can go like straight north, or straight south, depending on like, that is assuming that you're not flying over land. But physically, you can go into a polar orbit from anywhere around the world. You can only go on an equatorial orbit, like directly around the orbit, without doing some kind of plane change on the equator. So the further north you are, that's actually like your minimum latitude. So Kennedy Space Center is at like, I think it's 28 degrees north. So you can't get on even if you fly due east, like your minimum orbit is 28 degrees at an angle of 28 degrees. Does that make any sense? Sorry if that's like really confusing. But because their other one is on the south side of the Earth, it's on the opposite side, they're both on similar inclinations. So it's not like they're gaining any more, they're not opening up like, oh, now we can do equatorial or anything like that. It's just that now they can launch maybe even more secure and more Air Force type of stuff, Department of Defense for the U.S. military, more classified payloads. The big thing with Rocket Lab is they're ahead of their customers already. They can probably sign papers and put something in space in literally like 6 weeks to 8 weeks now. That's nuts. So for Department of Defense purposes and national security's sake, it's like really big deal. So I think that's honestly one of the main reasons they have another pad here. But that's not all. Rocket Lab, I just found out like yesterday look at this. All of a sudden Rocket Lab, oh, by the way, we're not done with just 2 pads. We're building a 3rd pad. So they're literally
back in New Zealand, right?
Yep. This is their New Zealand pad.
Yeah.
So they're building Launch Complex 3 right next to Launch Complex 1 out on the Mahia Peninsula, which makes sense. You already have all the propellant farms and all the tanks and stuff out there. It totally makes sense to just build another, have another way to be able to basically have that little crawler thing turn a corner or whatever. I don't quite know how it's going to work, but it makes sense. I'm sure there's a lot of infrastructure they can share, including ground tracking stations, things like that. And these rockets are so small that, they can just build them, fly them, shoot them off into space, put stuff in space, boom, bing, bang, boom, no big deal. I think we're going to see a lot from Rocket Lab. Like, we're going to get sick of Rocket Lab launches.
They're going to have to be more clever with the names.
I don't know. What are they going to do?
I mean, all the other rocket companies like, oh, this is SPC 1320, but Rocket Lab's always like, it's business time or too many words or what, like these.
Yeah,
these
like
silly
running out of
names,
fingers. Yeah.
I like when they do themes, I don't know if these guys have them at all, but back when I worked in tech, it was always like we'd have a server farm and we would choose Disney characters or something. So we would name each server something. So it wasn't just like, SC483 or something dumb like that. It was like, oh, that was Bagheera, or that was Little John, or that was Mowgli, or whatever, So
yeah.
Bagheera?
Yeah, he was from Jungle Book. He was the which one was he? I forget.
I don't know.
I just remember the server name, actually.
That's awesome. So there you go. So Rocket Labs they ended up having a really big 2019, and I think 2020 is just going to be even bigger. I just love that company. They're cool. They're nimble. They're quick. I mean, they built Launch Complex 2 in under a year. So that's amazing. So I wouldn't be surprised if Launch Complex 3 gets built in under a year again. They're just going to knock it out of the park. Super, super cool. So yeah.
It's great to see. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry, just looking at this picture it's on the screen. Is that a computer rendering, or is that like the full?
That's actually, yeah, it is. Yeah. Good I was like, what is going on?
It's not real.
Yeah.
But I guess they're still working on it.
Yeah, that's just kind of a rough mock-up. It looks like they do have to have additional propellant tanks and things for this secondary pad. I'm surprised they can't share them between the 2 pads. You'd kind of think there'd be some commonality there, same vehicle and everything. But maybe it's just a matter of like it takes a week or 2 to refill them. I don't know. That doesn't make sense because. Yeah,
it might be more efficient just to have them. How does the fuel get there to begin with?
Yeah. Oxygen you can pull out of the air, obviously, but RP1 has to be delivered by a truck.
But
so
what air, though? Our air is like 80% nitrogen. It's not even...
Yeah, where do you think oxygen comes from? We still pull it from the air, even though it's... you just separate it into pure oxygen, then chill it down to, liquid oxygen, which is actually kind of difficult-ish. Hey, thanks for checking us out, guys. I hope you enjoyed this clip from our podcast.
We do a weekly show here on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe to Our Ludicrous Future, where we discuss all the things that are going to make our future totally ludicrous.
You can join us here on YouTube or at any of your favorite podcast places. Plus, if you want to get some behind-the-scenes stuff and join a cool community, you can help support the channel at patreon.com. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.